Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get started with our luncheon. I'd love to welcome everybody out here for the first day of July. Thank you all for making the time to be with us today. First and foremost, I'd like to ask Pastor Jeffrey Griffith from Denham Street Baptist Church to please come forward and bless today's luncheon and our meal.
Let's pray. Our Father, we bow in your presence. Thank you for every expression of your love to us. We want to especially thank you for your providential care over our community. Lord, from these storms that pass through, we ask that you would continue to bless. These are in rebuild and restoration, transition. Thank you for our chamber luncheon, our chamber staff. Thank you for our leadership, our city and county leadership through these troublesome times that we have had. Lord, as we celebrate 249 years of America's history, bless our activities this week. Lord, bless the luncheon and the food. Use everybody for your glory. We love you in Christ's name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Griffith. We appreciate you being here with us today. I've got 2 for Tuesday today. Is Dan Cheshire? Is Dano, are you here? Dan was here with us last month. He's back again talking about the UK Children's Miracle Network. He's coming up right now. It looks like he's got a helper with him. So I'm going to turn the mic over and give Dan a couple of minutes at the mic.
Thank you, Bobby. Thanks, buddy. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. Thank you, Bobby, for the time today. I appreciate that. And we have a little message that Crystal's going to play for us. Of course, we're collecting money for UK Children's Hospital, and our local hospital is now an affiliate hospital with UK Children's. So, roll it.
It's hot outside. It's time to go to your local Dairy Queen, buy a Blizzard, because all proceeds go to the Kentucky Children's Hospital.
It's Miracle Treat Day. Get a Blizzard and support Kentucky Children's Hospital. Go Cats!
Thank you, Crystal. So we can't really lose with Mark Pope on our side, so we're awfully excited about that message. Guys, if you will look on your tables, I have one of these little cards on there. And if you will look at the picture on there, I have Kate the Great on the back of that. She is the daughter of Ann Cook, and she is the miracle child. So she has received some wonderful care up there. She's a fantastic ambassador for UK Children's Hospital. You want to say hi, Kate? So one thing that Kate and I would like you to do, there's actually 2 things. First thing is we want you to come out to Dairy Queen and buy a Blizzard on Miracle Treat Day, and that is July the 31st, Thursday, July the 31st. On this card that's on your table, there's a QR code that you can pre-order Blizzards for that day. We'll get the order ready for you. We'll have it there for you to come pick up, and that's a big fundraiser for us. To date, we have raised over $20,000 so far for the UK Children's Hospital, $1 at a time. Most of them $1 at a time. We have an opportunity this year to donate $100, and that's a giant miracle balloon. We put that in our restaurants, front facing. Big thank you to all the local businesses. There were 43 local businesses so far that have donated $100, and we hope that if you're part of a business and you feel compelled that you would help us do the same thing. We have big balloons over there. They'll be on display until after the 31st of July. Thank you for all the support that you give us. Hope to see you on July the 31st and help us and help Kate and I raise a bunch of money for UK Children's. You want to wave, everybody? Thank you.
You know, if Dan's here, I've got a feeling that there might be a really fun prize at the end of this too when they do the drawings. Has anybody ever noticed that sometimes blizzards for a year show up when Dan's here? Everybody gets really excited about that. I could give away a free car, and you guys will make more noise for a year's worth of free blizzards. I've noticed that. It's pretty exciting. We have a few quick announcements before I turn the program over. I want to recognize and thank all of our information tables that are here with us. This is a free service that we provide. If you'd like to have an information table at an upcoming luncheon, call our office, talk to Crystal, and we take those on a first come, first served basis. And I'm going to recognize all of the info tables that are here today. And all I would ask that everybody try to find a business or an organization that is set up today. Find somebody that you've never met, find a business or an organization you know nothing about, and go over and introduce yourself and learn a little bit more about that business. That's exactly why we're here at this luncheon. So find somebody new and go say hi and learn a little bit more about them. We've got Net Vision Digital, Lifeline Home Care, Flashback Theater, Lindsay Wilson College, Incremental Systems, Volunteers of America, the Children's Miracle Network, and Dairy Queen are set up. Bridging Lake Cumberland, Aegis Mental Health, Expressions, Tea and Gifts, Goodwill of Somerset, Somerset 106 Fork Broadcasting, the Chalet Gourmet Restaurant, Colonial Life Insurance, Christy Jones, agent, Meredith Fry Photography, and I saw a couple of our Young Entrepreneurs Academy students over here, and I want to recognize them. I see Sophie's Sassy Stitches. You can't miss Sophie over there. And also, I think it's Mr. Horseman is here as well. I see him over there. He is all I need, HIAIN. So we have a couple of our past participants in our Young Entrepreneurs Academy. I would encourage everyone to go check them out. Those are the future business leaders of this community. Those are our future entrepreneurs. They have all been battle tested. They've gone through an 18-week program on how to start and run their own business, and they came out the other side of that, and they're still out here. They're working really hard, and I'm super proud of them. So I hope that you all will go over and say hi and check out their products as well before you leave today. A couple of upcoming events on Saturday, July 19th. We're going to be hosting Somerset Night with the Lexington Legends. This is a really neat opportunity. If you remember a few months ago, Alan Stein from the Lexington Legends, their past president emeritus, and I guess he's kind of their chief engagement officer now, if you will. He came down and spoke to us about the origins of the Lexington Legends. They called us the next day and they said, we want to do something fun for Somerset. So they're doing a Somerset night, really good tickets on the first baseline. They've basically given us an entire section. Tickets are $10 a piece. So these are not upper decks or nosebleeds. They're right on the field. They're $10 a piece. They're on a Saturday night. It's a 7 p.m. game, and afterwards we set it up. It's going to be a night where they actually have fireworks too. So you're going to get a fireworks show. You're going to get an evening game. It's going to be a little cooler, and it's on a Saturday. So what we're encouraging people to do is if you like baseball, this is an awesome opportunity. Grab a handful of tickets and give them out at your office to people that are performing well, or just bring the family. You can go to our website, and there's a link that'll take you right to the page to purchase tickets for Somerset Night. Again, that's going to be on Saturday, July 19th. So, who doesn't love a night at the ballpark? It should be a lot of fun. Also want to put in a quick plug for an upcoming business after hours that we're going to be hosting. It's going to be on Thursday, July 31st. We're going to be hosting an after hours at the Villas at Woodson Bend. So the Villas, and I'm not a paid sponsor or spokesperson for them, but it is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in Pulaski County. It is gorgeous out at the Villas. It is a gated community. We're going to open up the gates. It's a free event. Anybody can attend this. There will be food, there will be drinks, there will be the ability to go check out some of the homes, and we'll be up at the clubhouse, I'm sure, is where the event will be. But it should be a great event. It's free. It's great networking. I would encourage everybody to consider coming out to that. It's going to be from 5:30 to 7:30 on the evening of Thursday, July 31st. So go ahead and add that to your calendar. There should be flyers for that on each of the tables as well. So just wanted to go ahead and put in a quick plug for those two events. You may have noticed that Laura Glover is not here today. She is at a DECA conference with her daughter, and that's exactly where she needs to be. So we've got a ton of capable people on this board here at the Chamber, and we're going to have Dr. Bruce Gover, which is our first vice president. Dr. Gover is going to fill in as Laura today. And Dr. Gover, I'm going to turn the program over to you, and I'm going to let you finish this up, okay?
Thank you, Bobby. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day. I would like to call the meeting to order for this. It's hard to believe it's July already, but it is. 1st of July. So we're calling the meeting to order, the Somerset-Pulaski County Chamber of Commerce. A couple of things I'd like to make mention of. First, I'd like to welcome all of our guests. Raise your hand if you're a first-time member guest today. A lot of, yeah, good. Welcome. Hope you all will come back as well. We also have, I'd like to recognize our public officials that are here and their representatives. I see several throughout here today. So thank you all for being here. And I also like to thank our members for taking the time out of your schedule today to come and celebrate with us, which I think today is a day of celebration, which you're going to find out here in just a little while. We couldn't do anything in the chamber with a lot of the help and support that are provided by our sponsors. You see them on the wall behind me. You see them on the table in front of you. You see you're sitting with them too. So I'd like to recognize our world-class sponsors, our Chairman's Circle sponsors, and our Ambassador Circle sponsors. We really appreciate everything you all do. If you are a sponsor, raise your hand. Let people see you're here. If you're a sponsor of any of these, please raise your hands. A few of them in here. Very good. Thank you all. And there's so many thanks to go around. We couldn't do what we do here at the center without the Center for Rural Development, and Lonnie Lawson, and of course Laura, helping us with everything, and the staff that are here at the center. So thank you. Thank you, Sassy Spoon Catering for the lunch, and Coca-Cola Bottling of Somerset, and Pepsi-Cola Bottling of Somerset. You all always do such a wonderful job as well. So with that, we're going to move right into, you all have seen, this is our 100th year anniversary of the Chamber. It's a big deal for us. And as part of that program, we have a chance to watch a video from a past president. And so we've got a video of a past president coming up right now, and that past president is with us too. So it's Dan Cheshire. So if we can roll the video, please.
Celebrating 100 years of our chamber with Dan Cheshire, a local business owner who represents not only his own business, but our community and what the chamber means for us going forward. We're so happy to have him tell a little bit about his experience with the chamber and what it means for us going forward. Thank you, Dan.
Chamber was just a fantastic experience for me because being a part of something that affects so many small businesses around here and just the many great things that they did. So my experience was all positive, not without its share of hiccups, but it was just a fantastic experience. Great group. I can't tell you how the Chamber has influenced and helped small businesses in our community, even large businesses in our community.
What was your initiative? What did you bring to the table? I know everyone somewhat has something like that. So can you talk a little bit about yours?
I've been involved in a lot of nonprofit boards and groups. And one thing that I wanted to do was to highlight those groups. So one thing that we did during my presidency was to begin a nonprofit expo at one of our lunches. And that was an opportunity for all of the nonprofits in our community, and there's a bunch of them. There's some big ones that do great, but there's some obscure ones also. And it was my goal to get all of them in a room at the same time around business leaders like us who have the ability to help out in things like that. So it was a nonprofit expo that we highlighted all the nonprofits in our community that do such great work.
And I think that took place at the center.
It did. Mm-hmm.
Which is also a nonprofit.
Yes,
So it was like
yes.
nonprofits giving back to other nonprofits.
Yes, absolutely. And that was such a good thing. I don't know how many nonprofit members that the chamber currently has, but I would bet that it's 100. Because there's a lot of civic-minded, good people in Somerset, Kentucky that that help out in those things.
So talk a little bit about your family. So they've been here in Somerset for quite a while. And then what does that success look like? There's been momentum and many years established with Dairy Queen, your family. How does that relate to the chamber turning 100 years old?
My dad started our business, Burger Queen restaurant, on Highway 27, June 22nd, 1970, on his anniversary. My parents have stayed happily married, the whole time, which is a rarity in the restaurant business, he would say, because a lot of times that work-life balance is many times uneven in the restaurant business. Just the history that he has. He started off here, and he only visited Somerset one time previous to moving his family of 4 at the time from Louisville to Somerset. And just the business community from that point, it was a real popular place. It was the second restaurant, on 27th, second or third. There was Finley's, Burger Queen, and I think Jerry's opened a little bit later. But being the first people out on the brand new 4-lane bypass, that was something that was built in basically just a field. There wasn't anything around it. But it was very successful, and my dad ran, one of the top stores in the chain for many, many years, and from that was able to springboard and open many more Burger Queen restaurants in Southern Kentucky and Northern Tennessee. But the chamber, the chamber is a group of loyal businesses that no matter what. There's many of them. Having served on the chamber board, there's many of them that anytime you ask, what do you need? What do you got? We can do it. We can help. We can either help financially with membership or sponsorships. We can help. We like to help a lot with food. People can help with various other donations, but Somerset's just a very giving community that never says no, and that, in my opinion, is a sign of a great community and a sign of leadership.
So how has the chamber changed?
Before my involvement on the board, I didn't have a whole lot of exposure of the inside of chamber. You see, Christmas parade and holiday auction, things like that have kind of been a staple. I think that from my perspective, we saw kind of a slow burn, until I was involved, and then once you get to look behind the curtain and see all the inner workings of the chamber, once you reveal that, then you can say, well, that maybe that wasn't a slow burn, maybe it was mildly hot, but now it's our chamber's on fire. Our membership is up, our services are up, wildly successful at just about anything we touch.
What would you say to someone? Why should they invest their energy and their financials into the chamber?
I think it's a wise business decision because I think return it far exceeds $1 for $1. If it were $1 for $1, it'd be worth it. But involvement in the chamber, provides such a return if you put your effort and energy into it. The amount of doors that can open if you're involved in the chamber, they're just exponential. Whatever you need, if you're a member of the chamber, there's somebody who knows how to fulfill that need. And if they don't, then they can put you in contact with somebody who can take care of that need. Our chamber's filled with a bunch of shakers and a bunch of movers. You know, again, touch on that same point, who can just get things done. Who can just get things done and mobilize resources, whoever they need to be, to get things done.
You know, one of the greatest opportunities I've had is being on the chamber board is when working with some of these past presidents. Some we've got with us right now. So Sean, of course, we've got Dan and Lisa. And I can say these folks, just like what Dan said right there, you know, they are giving to the community. And I appreciate it so much. So Dan, I appreciate, I'm glad to see your video up here today. He was on the board when I first came on the board as well. So these presidents do a wonderful job, and so hopefully one of these days I'll get to do the same thing. But thank you all for everything you do. We appreciate your support. Moving on the agenda, we are now going to recognize, I'm going to ask Second Vice President, Chief William Hunt, to come up and recognize our new members. I still call him Chief.
Well, good afternoon. I've been asked to welcome our new members today. And when I call your name of your business, if you wouldn't care to please stand so everyone can see you and put the name with your business, or a face with your business, excuse me. Jenny Sims. Is Jenny here today? I do not see her. But Jenny has two things. She has two businesses she's bringing this month, the 829 RV Park and Cumberland Point Campground and RV Resort. Next is Abel's Remodel and Repair, Abel Cedillo. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for joining. Next is Colonial Life Insurance, Christy Jones, agent. In the back of the room. Thank you. Dan's Pawn Shop, John Pogue. Over here. Thank you. Fried of the Chamber, Ed Fratz. Oh, are they here? King's Barbershop, Jay Davidson. Don't see them. Lake Cumberland Rentals, David Guffey. Not here. Rural King, Terry Dozier. There we go. Thank you for being here. Spot On Restaurant Technology, Bill Dominic. They're in the back of the room. Showing off the swag. That Church, Marvin Guerrero. Marvin's here. I know. There he is. And Wheelworks UTV, Gary Love. Gary on the left side. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, and welcome new members. It's my honor next on the agenda to recognize a very special group of folks that without their help, the Chamber couldn't do what they do. And those are our ambassadors. So if you're an ambassador, would you all please stand? I know there's a lot of you here already. If you're an ambassador, let's give them a round of applause. The work that they do is, they're busy all the time, going to different things and ribbon cuttings and just provide a very valuable service to us here at the Chamber and for our community. And each month we like to recognize one of those ambassadors as the Ambassador of the Month. And this month we'd like to recognize Caitlin Baker. So Caitlin, if you'll come forward. The next recognition I'd like to have, we're starting to the part of the program where we're talking about showing our appreciation, our thanks for a lot of different things, but the first thanks I'd like to provide is our today's lunch sponsor, which is Campbellsville University. I think those folks are here, right there, yep, right in front of it. Thank you all. And at this point, yes, give them a round of applause. And it's my pleasure now to kind of move into the recognition of success that is part of what you all are familiar as our Young Entrepreneurs Academy. Bobby has already talked about several of the YAY participants in years past have been here too. But today we're going to honor a couple of folks from this year's Academy. And so to do that, I would first like to introduce to you all some folks that were going to be part of the program. So what we're going to do is I would like to give a couple of thanks and recognition to the support it takes for this program to run. The Chamber provides what we can to do that, but it takes a lot of folks to make this happen. I see Reese Shook out there. First and foremost, Reese runs the program, does an excellent job, Reese, so thank you for everything that you do. Campbellsville, we're going to find, provides a lot of resources to the winners of the program. Thank you all for that. We try to help at Somerset Community College providing facilities for the program. So it takes a lot of folks to make this happen. But it's my pleasure now to recognize, we're going to first start with our first place winner, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. But let me introduce Dr. Jeanette Parker. Dr. Jeanette Parker has served at Campbellsville University for more than 30 years. She currently serves as Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs and Dean of Faculty. She is also a Professor of Psychology. Dr. Parker began at what was then Campbellsville College in May 1987 as an admissions counselor. Dr. Parker has served as Director of Extended Campus for Campbellsville College, and in 2007 she was named Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs, and in 2021 she was promoted to Dean of Faculty. Dr. Parker is the daughter of the late C.E. and Frances Jacobs. She is married to Virgil Parker, a 1989 graduate of Campbellsville College, who retired as Chief Information Officer for the Campbellsville Independent School System. And they have two children, Zach Parker and Abby Parker Waldrop. A 1981 graduate of Pulaski County High School, Dr. Parker graduated from Campbellsville College in December 1985 with a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. She went on to graduate from Western Kentucky University in May 1990 with a Master of Arts in Counseling, and from Capella University in March 2005 with a PhD in psychology. So it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Parker to the lunch today, and we've got a very special presentation. So Dr. Parker, would you like to?
I would like to tell a quick personal story, say a word about Campbellsville University, and then present this very special award. As he said, I grew up here in Somerset and graduated from Pulaski County High School, and then went to Campbellsville College at the time, which was perfect for me because it was just far enough away I could be on my own, but I could still come home and do my laundry when I wanted to. So my best friend at the time, David Salyers, and I were going to drive back to college by ourselves on a Sunday afternoon. And so we got in our car. I don't remember why, but we chose to start on 80. I think we were trying to save some toll money, but we got on 80, and at Nancy, we got on the Cumberland Parkway. And we were just chatting happily when we realized we had come back to Somerset on the Cumberland Parkway. We just went east instead of west. And but we figured it out after that and got to school. And I don't know if we ever told our parents that we had done that. But Campbellsville University, for me, was a wonderful opportunity. It was an opportunity to study with highly credentialed scholars in their fields. It was an opportunity for me to have leadership experiences and personal development. It was an opportunity to know people from around the world and experience cultures from around the world right here in central Kentucky. And Campbellsville University is still that place. Now, we have grown a little in numbers. Our facilities are nicer than they were in the 1980s, back in the 1900s. But it's still the same place with those opportunities for students. Students like the recipient today, who is the winner of this year's Young Entrepreneurs Academy program, a 4-year full tuition scholarship for Campbellsville University. So I'm happy to be here today and present this to Mr. Gunnar Coe.
Congratulations, Gunnar. That's fantastic. Awesome. I would next like to introduce Carolyn Sparks, the CEO of Lake Cumberland Regional Hospital, who will be awarding the $1,500 scholarship to her second place for the EA program. So if Carolyn, if you would come forward. Carolyn?
All right. Thank you so much. We are awarding today a $1,500 scholarship to the second place Yay program to Jonah Collins for JC Mobile Truck Wash.
And congratulations, Jonah. Awesome accomplishment. I'd like to have, if you all will, join me in a round of applause for all of the Yay participants, winners all. Fantastic program. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for the day. And I'm going to read. We have with us today Julianne Dunn, who is the regional executive of the Cincinnati branch of the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. She is responsible for managing relationships with regional stakeholders and the branch board of directors, monitoring the region's economic environment, and contributing to the bank's monetary policy mission. She also manages the bank's business advisory councils in Southwest Ohio and Northern Kentucky, Central Ohio, the Dayton area, and Eastern Kentucky. Ms. Dunn joined the bank as a research analyst in June of 2017 and has since held positions of increasing responsibility. She was recently a manager in the bank's regional sales analysis group, for which she oversaw several analysts and contributed to the group's assessment of the district's economic environment in support of the bank's monetary policy-making process. She also contributed to the bank's external engagement through public presentations and to its research mission through bank publications. Before joining the Cleveland Reserve Bank, Ms. Dunn worked on economic forecasts as an economist at marketresearch.com. A native of Central Michigan, she holds a BA in International Studies from The Ohio State University and an MA in Economics and International Relations from the Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs at Syracuse University. Julianne also serves on the board of Cincinnati Works, and she is a graduate of the Greater Cleveland Partnership's LEAD program in the Cincinnati USA Regional Chamber of Commerce's Hello Cincy Executive Program. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome Julianne Dunn.
Well, thank you and good afternoon. I've mentioned to a few folks in the room already, I travel around quite a bit. I speak at chamber meetings quite often, and it's usually not in a room this large. So I just want to, and I know you all are not here for me, so I want to commend you for your support of the chamber, but most importantly of each other, and your commitment to a vibrant business community here in this region. My colleague Robert Brinkley and I arrived yesterday morning from Cincinnati. We've spent really a really jam-packed couple of days meeting with business and community leaders here in Somerset, and it's been really wonderful to get to know all of you, and we hope to be back again soon. So before I move off of this first slide, I did just want to call attention to the fine print here. So everything I share with you today reflects my views and not those of my employer. But I want to keep us moving, so if we can go to the next slide. Here's just an outline of what I'm hoping to cover. I never want to walk into a room and assume that everybody knows everything there is to know about the Federal Reserve, so I'm going to really give a brief overview there, and then share some of my thoughts on the economy, which, I'll just say I view as being fairly solid at present, despite a lot of uncertainty. So I'll start with a broad view of macroeconomic conditions, and then get a little more local as we talk about labor market, and then talk briefly about inflation, which has been coming down, though there are some risks there. And then I can't show up from the Federal Reserve and not talk about interest rates, so we'll wrap up there. But if we can go to the next slide here. So very brief Fed 101. The Federal Reserve System is the central bank of the United States. We were created back in 1913 by Congress, really at a time when there wasn't a lot of confidence in the banking system. So we'd had some bank failures in 1907. People weren't feeling really good about kind of the health of their financial institutions. And so with the creation of the Federal Reserve, you now have an institution that can serve as lender of last resort, and is really responsible for shoring up a safe and sound financial system. As you can see kind of on the right hand, or I guess you're right. In what I like to call uniquely American fashion, the framers of the central bank didn't really like the idea of one institution with centralized power. And so what they did is they set up this system with 12 regional reserve banks across the country. These are quasi-private institutions, and you can kind of see where our districts are located and the responsibilities that we cover. I work for the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. We cover that kind of maroon section there in the middle, including the eastern half of Kentucky. And so you've got 12 reserve banks across the country, really carrying out the work of the central bank, each with a president that's hired by their board of directors. And then with oversight then, we always like to have a lot of checks and balances. So there is a 7-member politically appointed board of governors in Washington, D.C. Most famously, we all see Jerome Powell in the news a lot. So he is the chair of that board of governors. And the board of governors really kind of sets policy for the system. But those governors are appointed for 14-year terms, so meant to last through several political cycles, really keep the Fed protected from short-term political pressure. If you can go back just one second. Just want to call attention to kind of 5 core functions of the Federal Reserve there at the bottom. Talked a little bit about financial stability, supervision, and regulation as part of that. We are a bank regulator. We're involved in payment systems, making sure those are safe and sound. But then, of course, most famously known for monetary policy and interest rates. And interest rates are decided upon by the whole group, the Federal Open Market Committee, so those 7 politically appointed governors, as well as the 12 regional reserve bank presidents. And they meet 8 times a year. They all come together, bring their respective views from their districts, which is a lot of the work that I do, that Robert does, as we are out and about in our communities, really trying to understand what the economy feels like for people in all corners of our district. So, super crash course on the Fed. We'll move on now to talking about the economy, and we can just skip right into the next one. So I'll start here with real GDP growth. This is the broadest measure of the U.S. economy, showing you here the quarterly change at an annualized rate. Published data through the first quarter, that was a little while ago now, shown in blue, and then forecasts from the blue chip economic indicators in orange there. And what I'll say is really through the last couple of years, we've seen a pretty solid, robust growth in the economy. 2023, 2024 saw above trend growth. We really came into 2025 on what I'll call really solid footing. The first quarter number, I'm going to jump to that in just a second, did see a little bit of a decline there. But if you kind of unpack that, some of that's about kind of pull ahead activity related to tariffs. But, most forecasters do think as we kind of digest the uncertainty that's out there, federal policy changes that might be coming down the pike, there is an expectation from most forecasters that we'll see a little bit of a slowdown in the second half of the year. And many of the business leaders that I've talked to, bankers, are kind of starting to see some of that softening showing up as we move through Q2. So I'll move to the next slide. So this is just unpacking that previous slide. So the light blue bars on the right side are exactly the same as the previous slide. And these colorful bars kind of give you a sense of where did that GDP growth actually come from. And what I really want you to pay attention to here is the orange and the gray. So business fixed investment still growing in the first quarter. Household spending still growing, though at a slower rate than we saw in the fourth quarter of 2024. What we really saw as a drag on GDP and what kind of translated into that slightly negative number was net exports. So that's going to be imports minus exports. And so what we saw was a lot of people purchasing things from abroad, concerned about the fact that they might see tariffs on those goods, higher prices later on. And of course, as GDP, we're trying to measure spending in the United States. So if we're purchasing products from abroad, that money's leaving us, that's actually a negative on GDP. And so that big dark blue bar really kind of canceled out what was otherwise, relatively healthy spending by businesses and households. Also, because people were buying all that stuff ahead of time, some of that showed up in inventory investment as well, so you got kind of a positive boost there as well. Move on to the next slide. One of the things that I've been hearing from business contacts over the last 3 to 4 months is that there has been some weakening consumer sentiment, and in particular that's showing up in weakness in travel and tourism. So I could show you a lot of different pictures. I find this one kind of interesting, as we have been having a lot of conversations with our international trade partners, conversations about our relationship with Canada in particular. We have seen people showing up at the border, kind of border crossing activity has declined pretty significantly on a year-over-year basis. And that shows up in some of those tourism numbers, particularly in the north side of our district that's a little bit closer to Canada. But even those, I had heard that there are many Canadians that really love the Bourbon Trail, and so they're not seeing quite that traffic as well. So certainly something to watch there. And if we go to the next slide, all of this really combines to form weaker expectations from businesses in our region as well. So this measure comes from the Cleveland Fed Survey of Regional Conditions and Expectations, or the SOURCE. We love acronyms like everybody else. And this question, so we send this survey out to about 300 businesses across our footprint. We get about 50% response rate. And we ask, how do you expect demand to change over the remainder of this quarter and into the next? And they say, we expect it to increase or decrease or stay about the same. And this index here is going to take the percent share that say an increase and subtract off the percent share that say a decrease. So these numbers here, these last couple of readings that are right there around 0, suggest that people are pretty evenly balanced in their expectations. The good news for me on this is that it's not super negative. Many business leaders that I've spoken to kind of expect things to be okay in the coming months, but certainly not the kind of strong, robust growth that we saw the last couple of years. And that's kind of similar to those GDP forecasts that I was showing. All right, so I'll turn now to the labor market, where we can get a little bit more local. So nationally, the unemployment rate did rise a little bit in 2024, but really has been pretty stable at a pretty low level. Typically, economists think that an unemployment rate in the kind of 4 to 4.5% range for the U.S. as a whole suggests a labor market that's in pretty good balance. So labor demand meeting labor supply. We had seen lower rates. Many of you employers in the room maybe experienced that as a tight labor market. What I've heard more recently is that things are a little bit more in balance, a little bit more stable. In Kentucky, we did see a little bit more of a precipitous rise in the unemployment rate, and even more so here in Pulaski County. So that can be concerning. The unemployment rate typically rises during a recession, so something that we want to keep tabs on pretty closely. But when you unpack that number and kind of look under the hood, things are a little bit more reassuring to me. So the unemployment rate is the number of people unemployed divided by the labor force, so the number of people who are looking for a job or actively working. So unemployment can rise, the unemployment rate can rise when people lose their job, but it can also rise when people enter the labor market because you know, as you're entering the labor market, might not find a job right away. And if we go to the next slide, what we see is that the number of people looking for a job, so the number of folks in the labor force has risen, but the number of people that are employed has also risen. So as we see the unemployment rate rise, that's not necessarily coming from job loss. Not to say that no one's lost their job. There's always a little bit of churn in the labor market. But really what that rising unemployment rate is showing is a increasing gap between these two lines. So that kind of tells me, okay, there are people that are wanting to come back into the labor force. Again, there's a little bit of delay maybe in them finding a job, but it gives me a little bit of reassurance about that kind of rise in the unemployment rate. And if you move to the next slide, one of the reasons that we're seeing more labor force entrants is because of migration. So these are pretty timely data for the local data that we can get. So this is data for 2024 on net migration. So this is kind of the people moving in, less people moving out as a percent of the population. And there you can kind of see that there are many counties in Kentucky where we have seen quite a bit of in-migration, so more people moving into the county than moving out. Certainly true here in Pulaski County. All right, so I'll turn now to inflation, which has been coming down, but certainly something I'm watching very closely. So I'm showing you here year-over-year growth in the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index. We call that PCE inflation for short. This is the Fed's preferred measure of inflation. This is what the FOMC targets at that 2% rate, if you ever hear us talk about kind of the target inflation rate. You've also probably heard about the Consumer Price Index, or the CPI. That one gets quite a bit of press, in part because it publishes earlier than the PCE. They tend to move together. They capture slightly different things. But this one is a little bit more dated since it does publish a little later. Showing you here both headline and core inflation. So headline inflation is going to include all 200 components that go into this price index. Core inflation is going to just is going to take from those 200 components, it'll take out food and energy, which tend to be a little bit more volatile and can sometimes send some interesting signals. So you can sort of see inflation peaked. We all remember 21, 22, big rise in inflation. That had been kind of coming down pretty precipitously over the course of 2023. That progress down towards 2% slowed a little bit in 2024, though still kind of moving down. But then in really the second half of last year, saw a little bit of bumpiness, and that's kind of been really the last year or so. Just in the last couple of months, March and April, we'd started to see really that blue line almost coming all the way back down to 2%. Encouragingly, their core was starting to move down as well. But in May, we saw a little bit of a tick up, so certainly still something I'm watching very closely. And while there are, many reasons why inflation has been running above target over the last couple of years, as we talk about the outlook and kind of think about what's ahead, we kind of have to address the elephant in the room. So if you can move to the next slide. Tariffs are certainly top of mind for many. There is a tremendous amount of uncertainty about what will be tariffed and at what rate, but also about how those increased costs are passed along and are going to actually show up in consumer prices. So what we can see from the April and May data is that government tariff revenue has increased. So someone is paying tariffs as things are coming into the country. That's that really sharp spike there at the end of this chart. But how that actually translates into inflation is kind of very difficult to predict. And certainly something that I'm doing a lot of asking businesses, how are you thinking about this? What % are you passing through? When are these things going to actually show up? So all things to think about, all things to consider as we move forward, but it does certainly make forecasting inflation in particular pretty difficult at this time. So I promised I would talk about interest rates, so we can just move on to this last slide here, last chart for you. So this is what we affectionately call the dot plot. This comes out every other FOMC meeting, so we get this 4 times a year. And I mentioned those 19 folks that get around the table to decide about interest rates. So these are their projections for the appropriate path of the federal funds rate. So each dot is going to represent one of those committee members. And they let us know where they think the funds rate should be at the end of this year, at the end of next year, and beyond. Typically, when we are trying to summarize this, we'll look at the median projections. And what that shows is that the median committee participant expects 50 basis points of easing in the interest rate this year, and then 50 basis points next year as well. These projections are unchanged from what we saw in March. Again, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of uncertainty. I included this quote from Chair Powell, just a tremendous amount of uncertainty around individual forecasts at this time, as we really kind of seek to understand how many of these policy changes, uncertainty in the economy, are going to play out. So I'll wrap up with some key takeaways. As I said, I think the economy is pretty solid at this time, but households are showing some signs of belt tightening. And businesses aren't expecting a lot of growth, particularly in the second half of the year. In Kentucky, labor force growth has outpaced employment growth, which explains that increase in the unemployment rate. Inflation has come down, but the outlook is what I'll say pretty murky. And similarly, interest rates are expected to decline gradually, but there is significant uncertainty around those projections as well. And then I've got one slide here with the QR code. Would love the opportunity to talk more with you and stay connected. This QR code will take you to a form where you can give me your email address, and I'll reach out to you. I have also got business cards. I'm happy to chat more. But I think we may have a couple minutes for questions now. Do we want to take questions from the floor or just wait?
We can take a question if there is.
Okay. Anybody have questions? I know I just gave you a lot of information. There's one. Yeah, so question was, what is the relationship between gold reserves and the Federal Reserve's balance sheets? You're referring to gold reserves that other central banks hold with the Federal Reserve. So those are many banks, all banks hold reserves with the Fed. There have been some historical reasons why some of the central banks, particularly in Europe, wanted to keep their gold in the U.S. Just having a history of war and conflict in those nations, they felt it was safer to have the physical, actual gold held in the United States. So that's where some of those conversations are coming from, is kind of a desire to move those back to their own central banks, back to their own balance sheets. I don't know off the top of my head what fraction of the Fed's balance sheet is those, but I would imagine that they're relatively small as a share of the assets that the Federal Reserve holds. But great question. Anyone else? All right. I'll be around for a little bit, so don't be shy. Thank you so much.
On behalf of the Chamber, Ms. Dunn, we'd like to present you this Friend of the Chamber certificate and welcome you back anytime. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, as we wrap up today's meeting, a couple announcements I want to make. First, our next luncheon, Tuesday, August the 5th, 12 o'clock noon, United States Congressman Andy Barr. So I hope to see you all back for that. And next, we are going to go through, get your tickets out. Got some door prizes. If I can see these numbers. Ace, where are you on standby? Just in case. All right. The first door prize that we have is a $20 RB dry cleaner, donated by RB Dry Cleaners. That is ticket number, last four digits, 1011. 1011. Going once, going twice. All right. Ticket number 0005. Way back in the back. Thank you. The next door prize is Buffalo Wings and Rings gift card, $25 gift card from Buffalo Wings and Rings. That is ticket number 9920. Oh, right in front. Okay, our next door prize is for the Cumberland Grill. It's a $25 gift certificate donated by the Cumberland Grill. Ticket number 9883. 9883. All right, one more time. Paula's got it. Okay. All right, this is the one Bobby was talking about. Dairy Queen, blizzards for a year. Winning ticket is 9868. 9868, way in the back. Next door prize is Campbellsville University swag, donated by Campbellsville University. Ticket number 1020. All right, right over here.
We've got 3 big dots, so we got 3 more.
Okay. 325, say $25? $25 Midland Farms gift cards. First one, ticket number 9967. All right, right over here. Second, Midland Farms gift card donated by Midland Farms, 1016. 1016. See it? Oh, over Lindsey Wilson. Last one. 9862. All right, right over here. All right. Well, we thank you all once again for being here. We're going to close our meeting today with the pledge to the flag. So if you all please stand, and our second vice president, William Hunt, is going to lead us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all and safe travels.
Wish everybody happy 4th of July.
Oh, happy 4th of July, everyone. Hope you have a great holiday. See you next time.